How's it going, everybody? My name is LuckyBunz. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the Strength of Steel event in Pokemon GO. This is also known as the Ultra Unlock Part 2 event, so there's actually a lot of really cool stuff going on during this event. We're going to cover all of that in this video, so with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, this event is going to be taking place from July 25th to July 30th from 10 AM to 8 PM local time. The bonuses are going to be as follows. We're going to get additional extra large candy for catching Pokemon if you're level 31 or higher. Now on top of that, you're also going to get even more candy if you're able to land a nice, great, or excellent throws. In the past, this has been in like increments of 1, so for example, for a nice throw you get like +1 extra candy, for a great throw you get +2 extra candy, and then finally for an excellent throw you get +3 extra candy. In terms of the extra large candy range, this one is a little bit more variable, so I can't really say how that's actually factored. But either way, definitely make sure to aim for great and excellent throws during this event because you're going to be able to farm a ton of candy on some really meta relevant Pokemon. And then finally, the last bonus for this event is going to be 3 times Catch Stardust. With a star piece active, that is going to be 4.5 times Catch Stardust, so incredible bonus to have during this event, and again, we're going to have this for like 6 days in total. That's really, really good. Now with that being said, I will be going over some more tips and tricks later on in this video to help you guys maximize these bonuses, but now let's take a look at the shiny debut Pokemon for this event. So this Pokemon is going to be Shiny Togedemaru. This will be available in the wild as well as 1-star raids with a boosted shiny raid. The shiny boost is actually pretty nice, but I wouldn't really recommend going to do these 1-star raids, mainly because Togedemaru again will be available in the wild, and there's also going to be a spotlight hour for Togedemaru right before this event ends, which we're going to talk about later on in this video. Before we get to that though, I do want to quickly go over how good Togedemaru is in Pokemon GO. So this is mainly going to be a PvP Pokemon, there's no raid relevance, so this is currently ranked within the top 100 for the Open Great League, which is pretty solid, so you definitely want to go out there and grab a good PvP IV spread on this Pokemon. You'll have plenty of opportunity to do so. That being said though, I know firsthand that Togedemaru has a terrible catch rate, so make sure to stock up on raspberries going into this event because you're definitely going to need them. In terms of getting a good IV spread though, you're going to have to focus on the wild spawns because if you get it from raids or if you get it from field research, the IV floor is going to be 10-10-10, which is not optimal for PvP. Next up, let's go over the wild encounters, and again, I'll talk about which Pokemon are actually going to be meta relevant later on in this video, but let's just get through which Pokemon are going to be featured during this event. So first up, we have Alolan Sandshrew, then we have Magnemite, Pineco, Nosepass, Aeron, Beldum, Bronzor, Ferroseed, Galarian Stunfisk, Togedemaru, Onix, Scyther as a rare spawn, Skarmory as a rare spawn, and then Klink as a rare spawn. And if I didn't mention this already, all of these Pokemon do have the potential to be shiny. Next up, let's go over the field research Pokemon. So we're going to have Beldum, Klink, Togedemaru, and then we're also going to have field research tasks to get Mega Energy on Steelix, Scizor, and Aggron. The Mega Energy tasks are honestly super clutch, so if you guys are not going out there and grinding out these PokeStop field research tasks, I would strongly encourage you to do so if you don't actually have enough energy for any of these Mega Pokemon. Now finally, let's take a look at the raid battle, so let's go over 1 and 3-star raids first. So in 1-star raids, you're going to have the following Pokemon available: Skarmory, Klink, Pawniard, and Togedemaru, again with the boosted shiny raid on Togedemaru. Now for 3-star raids, you're going to have Steelix, Scizor, Mawile, and Aggron. What's kind of unfortunate about these 3-star raids is that every single one of these Pokemon do have a Mega Evolution, but if you actually go ahead and beat these raids, you're not going to get any Mega Energy, so really I would not recommend doing any of these 3-star raids. Just focus on the wild spawns, focus on field research, and then when they do eventually come back into rotation, I would just focus on the actual Mega Raids, because that is the only time you're going to be able to get Mega Energy from them outside of the field research tasks. Speaking of which though, we do actually have one of those Pokemon available right now in Mega Raids, and that is going to be Mega Aggron from July 23rd to August 3rd. So this is going to be available for quite some time even after this event ends. Now if you don't have Mega Steelix, this would be your next best Steel-type Mega option. It's really not that useful in raids or PvP, but the typing bonus does help with certain events. Getting the initial energy you need to Mega Evolve is the only reason I would raid for this. Outside of that, I would just focus your raid passes on something else. Unfortunately though, the only other legendary Pokemon that will be featured during this event is going to be Tornadus in its incarnate form, which isn't even like the good form. So when it comes down to it, the legendary and Mega Raids really aren't that great. Like I would only do Mega Aggron for the initial energy. Maybe you can do it for some extra energy if you want to. That would be a much better option than going for Tornadus in its incarnate form, unless you just want to get the shiny, because then that would be the only reason I would do those raids. Next up, let's go over the timed research. So we're going to get a magnetic lure module from completing this, along with some experience as well as some various encounters, hopefully with Togedemaru. It wasn't actually specified. Now we're also going to have a collection challenge, which will actually award a Mega Energy on all Steel-type Mega Pokemon. It wasn't specified which Steel-type Pokemon, but I would have to guess Steelix, Scizor, and Aggron most likely. Hopefully hopefully it is all of those 3. This likely won't be enough energy to Mega Evolve the respective Pokemon, but every little bit helps, so focus on those field research tasks as well, do the Mega Aggron raids, and you should be good to go. Next up, let's take a look at the PokeStop Showcases. Most likely we're going to have the XXL featured Pokemon again. So showcases are going to be featured during this event. I would have to imagine we're probably going to get 2 main showcases, and if I had to predict which ones we might get, I'm going to say Togedemaru and then possibly an all-steel type showcase. Historically, this does seem to be the trend, but unfortunately, since Niantic does not post the showcase schedule anymore on their website, there's no way to actually know which Pokemon are going to be featured. So I would recommend holding on to all of your Togedemaru, and then if we end up getting the all-steel type showcase, the top picks for that would be Celesteela, Steelix, Dialga, Solgaleo, and Melmetal. Many of these Pokemon have been featured very recently in Pokemon GO, so I would hope that you have some of them, but if you don't, I would strongly recommend focusing on Steelix as your biggest steel-type Pokemon. That one is going to do numbers. Next up, let's go over the Togedemaru Spotlight Hour. So to end off this event, we're going to have a Spotlight Hour for Togedemaru, like right before the event ends, with the special bonus being 2 times Catch Stardust. Now you might be wondering if this actually stacks with the event bonus. Historically, Niantic has opted against stacking these 2 together because that would just be like crazy OP, right? Like imagine a 2 times Catch Stardust bonus times a 3 times Catch Stardust bonus, 6 times Catch Stardust plus a star piece being 1.5 times to that multiplier. My goodness, that would just be insane. But yeah, honestly, they haven't really set consistent precedents in place. Like sometimes the Spotlight Hour bonus takes priority, sometimes the event bonus takes priority. In this situation though, I do hope that the 3 times Catch Stardust bonus is the one that takes priority, but either way, this will be a good Spotlight Hour to farm for many reasons. Earlier we did talk about Togedemaru and its relevance in the Open Great League, so if you haven't gotten yourself a good PvP IV spread yet, you'll definitely want to go out and grind for this one. On top of that, for shiny hunters, if you haven't gotten the shiny yet, you definitely want to go out and grind for this as well. The shiny rate will be full odds though, which means 1 out of 500, so you're gonna have to grind pretty hard if you want to get that shiny. Now on top of that, as I mentioned earlier, I would also strongly recommend going into the Spotlight Hour with as many raspberries stocked up as possible. Togedemaru's catch rate is pretty bad, so it's going to be really difficult to farm this one if you're going to be focused on the Stardust gains. You're going to need a decent amount of raspberries plus ideally Great or Ultra Balls to be using during this event. If you're just going with regular Pokeballs and no raspberries, it is going to be so frustrating, just trust me on that. Now I would also like to talk about the Meltan Box. Even though the shiny for Meltan isn't going to be turned on during this event, I think it's going to be a great time to take advantage of the extra spawns as well as candy bonuses. So grab yourself a mystery box and farm Meltan for the candy as well as Stardust, and when evolved into Melmetal, for those who don't know, this Pokemon is actually pretty good in PvP as well as rocket battles, so definitely a great Pokemon to get good IVs on. Now for those of you who are unsure on how to actually get a Meltan mystery box in Pokemon GO, there's actually 2 ways to do it. The first way is by transferring a Pokemon to Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee, and then the other way is by transferring Pokemon to Pokemon Home. The latter is much easier in my opinion, and if you want a full walkthrough on how to actually get this done, I'm going to leave a tutorial linked down below. This was uploaded to my second channel where I post a lot more main series Pokemon content, so while you're there, make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Next up, let's go over the best Pokemon to focus on, and there are quite a bit during this event, both for PvP as well as raid battles, and then some that even have dual functionality. The first Pokemon that I'm going to talk about is going to be Alolan Sandshrew, which evolves into Alolan Sandslash. This is relevant in the Open Great League as well as the Open Ultra League, and you're not actually going to need the exclusive Comday moveset for it anymore, which makes it a lot more accessible in terms of building it. If you do want to build one for the Ultra League though, you will need to grind out a decent amount of extra large candy. The next Pokemon is going to be Magnemite, which evolves into Magnezone. So when you actually evolve the second stage form Magneton into Magnezone, you have to do this under a magnetic lure module, and I think you also have to use a Sinnoh Stone as well. Now if you decide to build an Ultra League version of this Pokemon, you can also use it as a raid attacker, so you do get dual functionality out of it, which is pretty nice. In terms of just building and powering this up as a raid attacker though, I would probably hold off on that unless you end up catching one that is like level 30 or higher. In that case, you can just evolve it into Magnezone and use it as a temporary attacker for your electric type team until you get some better Pokemon later on. The next Pokemon is going to be Beldum, which evolves into Metagross. This has relevance in the Open Master League along with the Raid/Gym meta as well as the future Mega Evolution. This is arguably going to be the MVP of this event. Now unfortunately though, Metagross is not going to get access to its exclusive Comday moveset Meteor Mass during this event, so I would not recommend evolving any of them, but I would mainly focus on just building up resources and holding on to your best IVs for the future as well as all the extra candy as well. There is a high possibility that we're going to get an event later down the line where we can actually evolve Metang into Metagross to get the moveset for free, and if not, you would ideally want to save your extra resources for Shadow Metagross and then just build that one. So again, like we haven't gotten Beldum Comday Classic yet, and we haven't gotten the Mega Metagross Raid Day, which I don't know if we're going to get a Raid Day for it, but I would have to imagine we probably would. So the potential events on the horizon are kind of promising there, and in terms of getting Meteor Mash, there is a good possibility that that is going to be the featured move during both of those events. So basically when it comes down to it, take advantage of the Beldum spawns as much as possible. Like I really need to get more extra large candy on mine personally, so definitely a really good Pokemon to go for. Follow following that, we have Bronzor, which isn't really that great of a Pokemon, except for gym defending. It also has some relevance in the Little Cup, but in terms of gym defending, Bronzor is actually a really slept-on Pokemon because of its typing, as well as how the CP decay system works in Pokemon GO. I believe Bronzor is also going to have a perma-boosted shiny rate of 1 out of 64, which means you gotta click on every single one of these if you do run into them for an increased chance to get the shiny. If you do end up getting the shiny though, I would also recommend doing a Mirror Lucky trade, and then powering that Pokemon up for both the Little Cup as well as for a Gym Defender. Next up we have Galarian Stunfisk, which is currently ranked within the top 50 for the Open Great League and the top 100 for the Open Ultra League. This Pokemon has maintained very good meta relevance in PvP for a very long time, so I would strongly encourage you guys to go out and grind for this one. Now for the Ultra League, you will also want to get the Hundo instead of the typical PvP IV spread, because this actually maxes out right below the 2500 CP limit. This also means you're going to need to farm 296 extra large candy. Now I could also be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure Galarian Stunfisk also has a perma-boosted shiny rate as well. In the past, I've actually gotten shinies pretty frequently from this, but I also heard that it was removed from the perma-boosted shiny list, so I don't know for sure if it's going to have the increased shiny rate during this event, but either way, make sure to click on all of them, make sure to catch all of them, and if you do end up getting more shinies, let me know in the comments down below. But I would also recommend mirror trading these Pokemon too, because if you end up getting like a lucky 98 or higher IV with like 15 attack, this would be much cheaper to build for the Open Ultra League, and it's going to cost you half the Stardust, right? So definitely a great alternative right there. The next Pokemon is going to be Ferroseed, which evolves into Ferrothorn. This has relevance in the Open Great League as well as the Open Ultra League. This Pokemon is still ranked well within these two metas, but it's not as good as it once was. Still, if you want to build one for the Open Ultra League, you're going to need a lot of extra large candy, so make sure to farm this one if you do want to actually build it. Now following that, we're going to have Onix, which evolves into Steelix. This Pokemon has relevance in the Great League, the Ultra League, and it also has a Mega Evolution as well. Now in terms of my top recommendation for building Steelix, I would focus on an Ultra League IV spread and then also use that as your Mega Evolution Pokemon. You will need a decent amount of extra large candy to build it below 2500 CP, and so you really don't need to have the Hundo as well. Like, since it's not going to be a good raid attacker, there's really no point wasting resources on two different Steelix. Like, just use your Ultra League spread as your Mega Evolution as well. Now finally, the last Pokemon to focus on is going to be the rare spawn featured during this event, and that is going to be Skarmory. This Pokemon has relevance in the Great League and the Ultra League, and it's actually one of the top Pokemon right now in both of these metas. Now on top of that, it also benefits from a perma-boosted shiny rate of 1 out of 64, very similar to some of the other Pokemon that we mentioned during this event. So make sure you're clicking on all of these Pokemon and make sure to catch all of them as well, because you are going to need a lot of extra large candy if you want to build this for the Ultra League. In terms of the other Pokemon featured during this event, none of them really have that much meta relevance, but if you have any additional questions, guys, let me know in the comment section down below. Now finally, to end off the video, let's go over some additional tips and tricks to help you guys out, starting off with the Mega Evolution that you want to have active during this event. So because this is going to be a Steel type focused event, it makes sense to have a Steel type Mega Evolution active when you're going to be out grinding for these extra candy and extra large candy bonuses. Whichever one of these Pokemon you have at Mega Level 3, prioritize that one over the others for increased candy and extra large candy. Now if you don't have any of these Pokemon, Mega Aggron is going to be available in raid battles, and we're also going to have Mega Energy featured in field research tasks, so focus on grinding those two specifically out, and then, just start Mega Evolving your Pokemon as soon as you can. Like, if you don't have any of these Mega Steel type Pokemon, just go with the Mega Aggron and Mega Level 1. That is going to be better than having nothing active. Now we are going to have the 3x Catch Stardust bonus, which again, with a star piece, it is going to be 4.5 times Catch Stardust. Pretty incredible if you ask me. It's arguably one of the best times to be using a star piece in game, guys, but only if you're going to be grinding around a lot of spawns. Now if you are going to be around a lot of spawns though, you ideally want to be using the fast catch trick to catch as many Pokemon as possible to really maximize that star piece. If you also have any field research Pokemon stacked, you can catch these as well during the downtimes when you have no spawns. And if you're going to be walking around, which I do recommend, it would also be a good idea to drop in incense or also use your daily incense to get more spawns while on the star piece. If you're moving at a decent pace, your incense should be getting you new spawns about every 30 seconds, which is pretty good. Now finally, if you have any special research or GBL Stardust rewards, this will also be a good time to redeem those as well. Next up we have the question, is it actually worth using Spatial Rend during this event? So first of all, it is pretty rare for us to get a 3x Catch Stardust bonus for a regular event. Like, this usually only happens during calm days, and usually on those days I do recommend using Special Rend if you have the extra resources available. More spawns basically means more Stardust, and yes, you are going to be spending 5,000 Stardust and 5 Palkia candy for every 10 minutes if you want to keep it active, which is kind of like taking one step backwards but 2 steps forward. I do feel like you're going to easily get that 5,000 Stardust back though if you are going to be grinding. Like, the extra spawns make a big difference, especially when we consider the candy bonuses as well as the additional shiny chances. When I was grinding during Pokemon GO Fest, I was actually able to get a shiny Umbreon with the costume because I had Spatial Rend active. If I didn't have Spatial Rend active, I would not have been able to reach that extra Umbreon, which again, like, that makes the biggest difference right there. More chances equals more shinies and also more Stardust. Now if you're not really sure where to go out to grind for these cluster spawns, parking lots, grocery stores, superstores, those are all going to be great places to go out. Also, college campuses are also really solid. Now, since one of the main bonuses for this event is going to be candy bonuses focused on throws, you do want to be aiming for great and excellent throws throughout this event. Personally, I found that the most consistent way to do this is by using the circle lock method. You essentially want to hold down the Pokeball to set the circle, and then wait for the attack animation, and then time your throw so that it lands right as the attack animation finishes. I know that's a very simplified explanation, but I do have a more in-depth explanation on this, which I'm going to link to a different video down below if you are unfamiliar with this method. You could also use Nana Berries to calm the Pokemon down, which means it's not going to attack you, and then you can just go for the free-handing excellent throws. That's usually what I do most of the time, but if I don't have any Nana Berries, the circle lock method is the next best option. I also want to mention that if you're not really that great with excellent throws, then focus on great throws for more consistency. Now, once again, since the main bonus is going to be focused on candy, I also want to recommend using Pineapple Berries to get even more candy on your Pokemon catches, and I would also recommend using Silver Pineapple Berries on Pokemon like Beldum, as this Pokemon is extremely difficult to get on a regular basis, so combined with the Mega bonuses, plus the catching bonuses, and the Pineapple Berries, you're going to be able to farm tons of candy and extra large candy during this event. Now, on top of all of that, we're also going to have Mega Lucario Raid Day featured during this event on Saturday, so if you guys have not prepared for that event yet, then check out this video right here. But before you go, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you all real soon in the next one.